What's that? Who there? Whoa.
Imagine Creator Lab was gone. We'll say the founder's gone as well. It's 2021 and podcasts and long form content's busy, right? The landscape there's never been more shows. So if you had to start from scratch now, what do you think's compelling? Could be topic matter, format, length, platform. What are your thoughts there?
Yeah, I'd say the first thing I would do is clarify my goal, because I think a lot of people assume the goal is create something that's really big with a big following. Whereas, of course, we all want that. But really, for me, I would start by that, because for me, the goal is primarily meet great people, have great conversations, learn from those conversations that they're worthwhile on their own. And if people listen, that's the second tier. And I'm proactively trying to grow that, but I have to stack rank those first, because just to give another example, the nuance of it is, if it was the other way around, if my primary goal was to create something with a big audience, I would do what Nathan Latka does, which is do 20-minute episodes and record 15 of them in one day and ask them all to share it out and game the system there. And that's great for him, and I'm not against him doing that, but it's not for me, right? That's not what I'm optimizing for. So that's just the one thing I'd say. So assuming is my current goals, which are both to grow an audience, but also have high quality stuff that I learn from and create those relationships, I would think where are those people hanging out? And so, I'd say if you're picking a new topic, I think for something like a podcast, it needs to be something you're genuinely interested in. I think for a business, that's not always the case. Your interest in business might be, I like creating a business, and I've met many people like that. But for a podcast, if you're going to actually speak about something for hours, you better enjoy what you're talking about. So I'd start with that. So for me, it would either be, again, entrepreneurship, business related, maybe it'd be sports related. If I was trying to make money, I would go the B2B route, and I'd think about what are the areas where I could only have 100 people listening, but those 100 people are worth a lot more money because they're spending thousands of dollars on consultancy, on agency fees, on software, etc. So yeah, that's about choosing a category. Then I would think about, length. To me, I'll answer that really quickly. I don't really have, I'm not as dogmatic about short form, long form, hour long caps. That makes sense if you're trying to grow long term to a massive audience. Yeah, that makes sense. But also Joe Rogan, Tim Ferriss, and a lot of the biggest podcasts have 3-hour episodes. But the key thing is, the 3 hours isn't what makes it good. It's it's just really good, and it happens to be 3 hours. So I think that's where a lot of people kind of say, oh, well, he's doing it, I can do it too. And I'd say if you're starting in 2021, shorter is probably better in terms of an hour. I don't mean 20 minutes, because I don't think a conversation for 20 minutes in an interview form, I don't think you can get really any real insight. It's normally just a pitch, and so I don't find that interesting. And then lastly, I would pick a distribution channel or a channel where there's an audience already that I can go and be a part of, and I would spend 30 days building up, answering questions, replying to people, just being useful, DMing people, doing all that unscalable stuff that's super annoying and tiring. And I would probably pick Twitter generally, because it allows for text, there's images, there's video. And the other key thing is, your tweet can reach, let's say you've got 1,000 followers, your tweet can still reach 50,000 people sometimes, if it kind of spreads into other secondary networks. On Instagram, that doesn't happen as much anymore. It used to, when people used a Discover feed before it was filled with thirst traps. So it's so again, but for some people, lifestyle content, it might work better there. The other thing I'd throw in, I'd say Clubhouse is very interesting to me, or this Twitter Spaces, whatever it becomes. If you're doing audio, I think it's worth experimenting in, because you can very quickly be in a place kind of like the town square of Twitter, but for audio. And if you are good at hosting, you're good at bringing people together and giving people space to speak, I think that's an interesting place to be spending a bit more time in, understanding how people add value and following the same playbook. Pick a time, pick a place, and turn up every week and make sure people have a way to follow your journey. I would lastly try to take those people off platform and give them an incentive to sign up for your email newsletter or subscribe to your podcast or whatever. Give them some access that they wouldn't have otherwise. So it's why I did a recent live event with Jack Butcher, because I got a chance to get hundreds of people's email addresses that I can then communicate with in the future. I also wanted to do it for fun, but there was two reasons for that.
Yeah, it was a win-win. I listened to that whole thing. I loved it. That was a great
man,
session.
Thanks for joining. It went a little late, but yeah, it was. Well, actually, sorry, it wasn't late for us, but there was a dude in Pakistan who was there until 4 a.m. It was amazing. So.
He's hustling. I was gonna ask you about the Clubhouse and the Twitter Spaces piece, because it is super compelling to me. I feel like there's probably a way where you can just plug a cord in and record it, so you can rip the audio and post it. So the fact that it's not stored is not a big deal, but it is super compelling that right now it seems like a lot of people are spending all of their free time just jumping in Clubhouse, just listening. And if you can, like you said, if you can capture the right time, the right mix of people, that could be almost like a cheat code to amplify your podcast audience.
Definitely. And one thing, I'll just add more color to what you said. It's like we're talking in February 2021. If you ask me in 2 months, I might have a very different opinion. And that's what is interesting, because it's always just about, especially the way I approach it, is like, where is the attention and where is there, there's clearly lots of attention on Instagram, but there's less opportunity to capitalize on the attention. So there's part one is, where are people hanging out? Part two is, does it align with the sort of stuff I care about? Part three is their discoverability. Am I going to show up in someone's feed or in their corridor in Clubhouse where there's a room of 100 people and they might listen in and hear your name for the first time? I also am still very bullish on YouTube, even though I haven't really optimized enough. Like it's doing pretty well for me. It's grown significantly, but it's not. I post like 2 hour long podcasts on YouTube. That's not really like optimal for building an audience from day one. You really want to do like 10-minute videos, really succinct, share stories or share something that's actionable. So I would love to get to that at some point, but right now I'm really just focused on my current approach.